The year is 1119. In the aftermath of the First Crusade, Europe buzzes with stories of knights who carved a Christian kingdom in the Holy Land. Amid the ruins of Jerusalem, 9 knights, led by a man named Jacques de Molay, swear a holy oath. They call themselves the poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. Few take notice of this small brotherhood at first, but from these humble beginnings arises one of the most legendary and mysterious orders in history, the Knights Templar. The Templars were warrior monks. They vowed chastity, poverty, and obedience. They pledged their lives to defend pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. To outsiders, they seemed pious and humble. Men who ate simple meals, wore plain, white mantles marked with a red cross, and rejected worldly wealth. Yet paradoxically, this same order would grow into one of the richest and most powerful institutions of the medieval world. How did this transformation happen, and why do so many myths surround them? The truth begins with their patronage. In 1129, the Catholic Church formally recognized the order. With the blessing of Bernard of Clairvaux, one of Christendom's most influential abbots, the Templars gained credibility. Donations poured in from kings, nobles, and merchants who believed that supporting the order would grant them spiritual merit. The knights received vast estates across Europe, castles, farmland, and entire villages. Their mission seemed simple: protect the Holy Land. But the reality was far more complex. By the mid-12th century, the Templars were no longer just warriors. They became Europe's first great bankers. Pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem could deposit money in a Templar commandery in Paris or London, and withdraw it later in Acre or Antioch. This innovation protected travelers from bandits and allowed wealth to flow across continents. Over time, the Templars mastered this system, issuing letters of credit, safeguarding treasures, and financing kings. The irony was unmistakable. The poor fellow soldiers of Christ had become the financial powerhouse of Christendom. This success bred suspicion. Whispers spread that the order was too rich, too independent, and too secretive. Their initiation rites, conducted in private, gave birth to rumors. Some claimed the knights denied Christ, spat on the cross, or engaged in obscene rituals. In truth, their vows were strict, and the secrecy was designed to maintain discipline. But human imagination thrives where information is scarce, and soon the Templars became a magnet for myth. One myth claims that the Templars discovered the Holy Grail, the sacred cup of Christ from the Last Supper. Another insists they unearthed the Ark of the Covenant beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, where their headquarters stood. It is true that the knights occupied the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which medieval Christians believed to be built on the ruins of Solomon's Temple. This association gave them their name, the Knights of the Temple. But did they truly find relics buried beneath? There is no evidence. Yet the silence of history only fueled legend. Secret treasures, forbidden knowledge, and hidden relics became part of the Templar story, told and retold through the centuries. Part 1 is fact, and what is myth? Fact. The Templars fought with unmatched ferocity in the Crusades. They defended castles, led charges, and often chose death over surrender. At the Battle of Hattin in 1187, when Saladin's forces overwhelmed the Crusaders, Nearly every captured Templar was executed rather than ransomed, for Saladin considered them too dangerous to live. Their battlefield reputation was fearsome, disciplined, unyielding, and willing to die for their vows. But myth transformed them further, casting them as almost supernatural warriors, possessed of secret tactics or aided by mysterious powers. In truth, their success came not from magic, but from rigorous training, strict discipline, and unwavering faith. As the Crusades faltered, the Templars' fortunes began to shift. The loss of Jerusalem in 1187 was a blow, but the order persisted for another century, fighting in Acre, Tripoli, and Cyprus. Yet without a permanent Christian kingdom in the Holy Land, their original mission faded. What remained was their wealth, their land, and their influence, and that made them targets. The man who sealed their fate was Philip IV of France, known as Philip the Fair. A king perpetually in debt, Philip saw the Templars as both a threat and an opportunity. In 1307 he struck, on Friday, October 13th, a date forever etched in superstition. Philip ordered the arrest of every Templar in France. The charges were shocking: heresy, blasphemy, sodomy, idol worship. Under torture, many knights confessed to impossible crimes. They spoke of spitting on the cross, worshipping a mysterious head called Baphomet, and engaging in unnatural acts. Historians today see these confessions for what they were: forced admissions wrung from men in agony. But for Philip, they served their purpose. The Pope, Clement V, at first hesitated, but under pressure, he dissolved the order in 1312. Templar property was handed over to the rival Knights Hospitaller, but much of the treasure conveniently disappeared into royal coffers. The last Grand Master of the Templars, Jacques de Molay, was burned at the stake in 1314, proclaiming his innocence and cursing his persecutors. Legend says that both Philip and Clement died within a year of his execution, seen by some as proof of his curse. Fact? Coincidence? Or simply the poetic justice of history? With the order destroyed, the myths grew stronger. People wondered, what happened to the Templar treasure? Some said it was spirited away to Scotland, hidden under Rosslyn Chapel, where carvings seemed to hint at secret knowledge. Others claimed the Templars fled to Portugal, where they re-emerged as the Order of Christ and helped launch the Age of Discovery. Still others linked them to Freemasonry, suggesting that the rituals of medieval Masons preserved Templar traditions. These claims range from plausible to pure fantasy, but they show the enduring power of the Templar story. The truth is that much of the Templars' wealth was in land, not in gold. When the order was suppressed, that land was seized. There is no record of great treasure shipments, though it is possible that small groups of knights escaped with valuables. What survives is not hidden gold, but the legacy of financial and organizational innovation. In many ways, the Templars laid the foundations for modern banking. That is fact, not myth. Yet the myths persist because they satisfy something deeper. The idea of a secret brotherhood, guardians of hidden wisdom, appeals to our imagination. From novels like The Da Vinci Code to conspiracy theories linking the Templars to everything, from the Holy Grail to the foundation of America, their image is endlessly recycled. They represent both the nobility of selfless warriors and the shadow of secrecy and betrayal. They are both martyrs and villains, saints and sinners, real men and legendary figures. The truth of the Knights Templar lies somewhere between. They were not the keepers of mystical relics, but they were visionaries in warfare and finance. They were not heretics, but they were victims of political greed and fear. Their fall shows how power can turn on its own champions, and how myth can outlive fact. Consider this. If Philip IV had not destroyed them, would the Templars have simply faded into history like so many other medieval orders? Or was their dramatic end, their trial and their execution, what gave birth to centuries of legend? Perhaps their greatest secret is that their story was never really about what they held in their vaults, but what they came to symbolize in the human mind, the eternal tension between faith and doubt, loyalty and betrayal, fact and myth. And so the name of the Knights Templar endures. Historians can tell us about their battles, their estates, their rules, and their downfall. But storytellers, artists, and dreamers keep alive the possibility that behind the facts lies something more, a secret just out of reach, waiting to be uncovered. Perhaps that is why, 7 centuries after their destruction, the Templars are more famous than ever. They were flesh and blood men, flawed and mortal. Yet in legend, they became timeless. Pay. In the end, the truth about the Knights Templar is not found in hidden vaults or buried treasures, but in the enduring power of their myth. Fact tells us who they were. Myth tells us why we remember them. Together, fact and myth weave a story that continues to capture the imagination of the world. A story of warriors who became bankers, monks who became martyrs, and men who became legends.